Hi, welcome to another coffee chat here on Buzzing Pattaya, the show where we talk about things that are happening right here, right now, as well as general news, tips, information and advice. Now, today's coffee chat, I'm absolutely delighted to be introducing this fine young man here that I'm hoping everybody, myself included, will remember. Mr. Brian Jacks, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you? Thank you for coming over.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you for allowing us to take over some of your time.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
So, obviously what I want to do is just, before we talk about here and what's happening here, I just want to go through like your life a little bit, because let's face it, you are probably the most famous man that I know, certainly from a long, long time ago. I mean, born in London, 1946, and you were named Brian Albert Thomas Jacks, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Bat Jacks.
Black Jacks.
Bat.
Oh, Bat.
Brian Albert Thomas, B-A-T.
Brat. Oh, Brat.
When I was at school, they always called me Bat Jacks.
And what was the Albert? Was that like your father,
my dad,
grandfather?
yeah,
okay. And the Thomas, grandfather?
Grandfather.
There you go. See, that was good enough.
Right, that's the East End, isn't it?
Well, it is, isn't it? Yeah, we all know what we're doing down there.
Yeah.
I mean, as a young man, obviously, you know, you're very famous for what you've achieved, and we're going to discuss that in a minute. But what was it that when you were young and you know, obviously you were into sport, what was it about judo that had that draw on you? I mean, why not boxing? Why not rugby or football or karate?
Right.
Why was it judo?
That's a very easy question. I love sport. I loved it. The only thing I didn't like and still don't like is football.
Okay. So you're not an Arsenal fan then?
No, I'm not a fan of any football club, to be honest.
Right.
I don't think they know what rules are in football. Anyway, get away from football. I weren't interested. I played rugby for the school.
Okay.
I boxed. And I liked all different sports. But what happened was my dad, who was a cab driver in London,
Yeah.
in 1946, 47, 48, he was a cab driver when I was born. He likes a bargain, loves a bargain.
Okay.
So he learnt about this thing called judo, which was very, very young then. It just come over. And with judo, you learn to self-defense, which you wanted to do driving a cab. You keep fit, and you lose weight. And he loves a bargain,
I
so
need
he
to
took
take up
up judo.
But I mean,
Anyway, when he took it up, this is the interesting bit. He took it up, and he didn't tell us at all. So he got up to, I think it was a brown belt, which is one from black.
yeah.
And he didn't tell the kids. You know, I was 8 at the time. He come home one day and he said, "Listen," he said, "there's a competition on the Chelsea Town Hall. It's the London cab drivers versus the Metropolitan Police."
Oh, wow.
And being 8 years old, you know, you policeman would then you get a clip round the ear hole if you do anything wrong. And I wanted to go and see, you know, the police and see what judo was, because I didn't have a clue what it was. So I get to the town hall. Cut a long story short, the two teams came out. The cab drivers, 10 of them, and 10 policemen. And it was like the cab drivers were that big and the police were this big. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you had to be over 6 foot to be in the police, didn't you? Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And my dad was first on, and they came out opposite each other, bowed, and the referee said, "Begin," which is Hajime, and they took hold of each other. They took 3 steps one way, and my dad swept the copper's feet away, and he fell flat on his back.
I bet you thought, brilliant.
Took about
have some of that.
3 seconds. I hardly saw anything, you know. So
Wow.
anyway, since that time, I'd spent the rest of my life trying to beat somebody in under 3 seconds, which I never did.
You never did. But
I did
to be
5
fair,
and 6.
Did you?
Never 3.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, but when you're saying about judo, I mean, let's be honest, okay? You didn't just partake in judo. I mean, you reached the dizzy heights of an 8th dan, I believe. Is that right? 10th dan. Oh, okay. Wikipedia, you've got a lot to answer for because you said 8. Okay.
No, it's probably 8 on Wikipedia, but it hasn't been updated. But
Yeah. I mean, for people like myself that don't really understand, I mean, I understand the black belt is obviously like a really high level. The dans, I mean, how do these dans work?
Well,
What's the difference?
In Japan, what happened was they started off with white, yellow, orange, green, blue, brown, black. And when you got your black belt, you'd finish the beginner's course. That was basically what a black belt was.
Wow.
Just to finish finish the beginner's course. And then they had black belt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which were competition belts. So the higher you got up in the competition, the better belt you had. So if you were a 5th dan and you were up against the 3rd dan, you knew it was, you know, quite.
I mean,
like,
is there
like horse racing, isn't it? Or,
okay.
You know, they kind of give you a merit. You know that you're going to fight someone not as good or as better than you, and so on.
And in those terms of the dan, I mean, like a 5th dan to a 6th dan, for instance. I mean, is there a big difference, or is it marginal? Is it technical?
5th to 6th is changes colour. goes from black to red and white blocked.
Okay.
And the reason they do that is because when you get a 6 dan, you're classed as a, qualified judo exponent. And 6, 7 and 8 dan are red and white, and that they're all higher degrees of teaching. In Japan, if you meet someone that's more important than you, you bow lower. I don't know if you know that.
Okay. Yeah,
so
I
the
didn't know
belt
that, no.
system is like, when you meet someone, if you're an 8th dan and you see a 6 dan, the 6 dan bows to you lower. It's just to denote that you are better than them, that's all.
Okay.
It's quite a good system, really.
And I mean, when we're talking about the judo, I mean, obviously, you excelled at 10th dan in black belt, but judo became your life, didn't it? I mean, you've travelled all around the world. I mean, gold medals in the Europeans, bronze medals in the World Championship, the Olympics. I mean, how much pleasure and pain, I'm guessing, has judo given you?
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell you, but I left England when I was 15 and on the 15th birthday. I lived in Japan for 2 years to study judo on my own. And that, I think, alone gave me such a lot of confidence, experience, because when you're alone at the age of 15 in a foreign country, you get in the railway station, you don't know where the bloody hell you're going because it's all in Japanese. So to answer your question, I think it gives you so much confidence, just doing sport. Going up at 15 and fighting someone who's 21 years old, you learn to respect you, which is lost a lot nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like your competitions, I mean, obviously gold medals and bronze medals, etc. I mean, when you get that gold medal, I mean, how does that feel? I mean, what kind of feeling goes through you when you stand there? Is it the dojo mat they call it?
Well, yeah, the dojo.
I mean, when they give you that gold medal, I mean, how do you
when you're
feel?
in the big stadium and you win like the Europeans, which I won quite a few times.
Three or four times, wasn't it?
Yeah, quite a few. Well, I won the juniors 3 times.
That's right, yeah.
And the seniors, I think 4 or 5 times, I'm not too sure. But they play God Save the Queen, and that's when it chokes you up, because I used to be very patriotic, and I say that tongue in cheek. But,
No, I understand where you're coming from.
I think it's changed a lot now. At one time, I mean, I was very patriotic, but things have changed a bit now.
And in terms of like your opponents, I mean, if I had to say to you, who was the one thorn in your side, or the one person that you come up against time and time again that you knew you were in for a battle? I mean, who would that person be?
Well, there was 2 really. There was one in Europe and one in Japan. So Japan was the best and still is the best really at judo. But one in Europe was John Paul Koch, a Frenchman. Who, I beat him once, he beat me once, I beat him once. It went on like that.
So when you both stood at each other looking, you think, here we go again.
And the other one was a Japanese. They were both brilliant players, but one was this side of the continent, one was the other side, if you understand what I mean. But one you met in the Worlds and the in the Olympics, and the other one was in the Europeans all the time. So there were 2 really, 2 bogeymen.
And I mean, obviously, one of the things as a kid, I mean, I grew up watching you on Superstars, and what an amazing show that was. I mean, you won it for 5 years in a row, was it? 6 years? Yeah.
5 years,
And I mean, it was amazing to watch. I mean, what got you into Superstars?
Well, I was at a stage in my judo career where I was at the top, and I'm thinking, how long more can I go on for, and what am I going to do when I finish doing judo? Because I never had it. I didn't have anything. I had nothing. And I didn't cherish the fact that I wanted to carry on doing judo teaching and all that. I didn't cherish that. So I decided to go into college and become a teacher, PE teacher. So I went into Avery Hill College as a matured student, and I did 3 years there under Joe Jagger, Mick Jagger's father. He was head of department.
Wow. That's a nice name drop, isn't it?
Yeah, Avery Hill College. Qualified as a teacher, came out of that, started working at school while I was still doing the Superstars, I was still doing judo rather.
Yeah.
And then I had a phone call asking me to, if I was interested in going to Superstars, and I said, I've just started a job, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, during that period of time, I saw an advert in the paper for a lecturer scale 1 at Woolwich College.
Right.
So being a qualified teacher at the time, I thought I'll have a go, but you're supposed to do 3 years as a teacher before you can go into lecturing, you know,
Right.
get the experience. And I thought, oh, I'd try it, you know. So
Have a crack,
I phoned the number, and it was a voice that I knew, and I'm thinking, I know this voice, and they're talking to me like as if they didn't know me, and it turned out to be my teacher at school, Hal Owen, you know.
God, how surreal
since
is that?
passed away, but so obviously I got the job. Anyway, I got the job as a lecturer at the college, and I'd been there for about it must have just under a year, and I had a phone call from the BBC saying would I like to enter the Superstars. And of course, then it was such a good programme to watch. There was no one fantastic on it, but it was good because you had the world racing drivers and
that's right,
you know, like James Hunt and all people like that on it. And of course I said yeah. They said, well, it's.
Did they know what they were letting themselves in for when you came up and
they
took it apart?
it was quite the opposite. They said, okay, well it's next Monday. Well, it was Thursday, and they wanted me to go on Monday. And I said, well, hang on, I want a bit more notice. So I declined it, and then they asked one of the other judo boys to go on it, Dave Starbrook, and then I had a phone call back very shortly, you know, the day after, saying, well, would you do it in 6 weeks' time? So I said, yeah, because it gave me time to prepare a bit for it.
Yeah.
So.
And then you went in and just.
Well, no, I went into the head of the college, and I said, look, I'd like some time off to train for this Superstar program on the tour, which would be good for the college. And he said, you took the job on, you told me you'd finished judo. I said, well, I have, I'm lying to you.
Yeah.
This is something totally different. He said, no, we can't afford to give you the time off. So I said, well, handed my notice in. And then I went and trained for 6 weeks. I said to my dad, what shall I do? And he gave me a training program. And I got the program and I looked at it and it said, the first thing on the list was 400 arm dips every day. I said to him, hang on a minute. I said, and then underneath it was 400 squat thrusts every day. And I said, Dad, I've never done one, let alone 400 of them. He said, well, if you don't want me to train you, he said, leave it, go somewhere else. And I thought, oh, fuck put my finger up, I'll do it, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did it, and
never looked back, never looked back.
Yeah, but never looked back. My arms were like lumps of lead after.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, you set a world record, didn't you, for the most amount of parallel dips in a minute? Was it 104?
Dips and squat thrusts,
Yeah, I remember. I mean, as a kid, I used to watch you on TV, and it was just brilliant.
It was a great
And
program,
I guess like I don't know, I'm guessing here, but was your biggest rival Daley Thompson?
No, not really, no.
Really?
I mean, Daley came third in the final.
Yeah. But I just thought he was overall.
No. It was a weird program because you had to be good at everything.
Yeah.
You couldn't just be good at one thing because it only gave you 10 points.
Yeah.
So you had to be fairly good at everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you had to be brilliant at least 3 things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because it's me, but you had to be extremely good at 3 things.
You were good
to get the 30.
You don't have to say it, Brian. You were good.
You had to do it to get your 30 points. You know, what I mean? You needed 30 to stand in chance of being in the top 3.
Yeah. But you didn't just get the top 3, did you? And you won it for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years in a row, you won it.
Kept winning it. Yeah.
And did any of the other competitors come and say, "Oh, he's not in it again"? Really? You know?
Yeah, loads of them. But they're all good. They're all good fun, and they're all fantastic competitors as well.
Yeah.
But it's just that I took it as something I wanted to win. So if you want to win, you
no
train
point being
hard.
in it if you're going to
There's
not
no
try
point
hard.
being in it if you're not going to win it. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I'm in it to win it. and it weren't that. It was just the fact that I didn't have a job, and if you won, you got £500 entry fee. I don't know if you know.
No, I don't know.
They gave you £500 entry fee. If you won, you got 2,500. If you come second, you got 2,000. And if you come third, you got 1,500.
Which back then was a huge amount of money.
Minus the 500 that they gave you.
Oh, they took that out, did they?
They took that away. But also, it was sponsored by Philips Electronics, and they gave you a colour TV if you broke the world record. Well, I got a bit fed up with TVs. I had about 9 TVs, and I said to them, for goodness sake, can I have something different so I can go in my washing machine?